Motion that ordinance number 1376 be placed on second reading and final passage by title only.
Second that?
Been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1376 be placed on second and final reading by title only.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Ordinance 1376 reads as follows. An ordinance of the Borough of Wildwood Crest amending and supplementing Article 16 of Chapter 85 of the Code of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, Land Development Ordinance, granting to the Planning Board the authority to exercise all powers of the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Motion that a public hearing now be held on ordinance number 1376.
Second that?
It has been moved and seconded that a public hearing on ordinance number 1376 now be held.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes. Floor is open for public comments on ordinance number 1376, which is the dissolution of the zoning board. Do you have any comments?
Nope.
Anybody on the conference line have any comments or questions? Hearing none,
Motion that public hearing on ordinance number 1376 now be closed.
Second?
it has been moved and seconded that the public hearing on ordinance number 1376 now be closed.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that ordinance number 1376 be passed on second and final reading and advertised according to law. Excuse me.
Second that?
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1376 be passed on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 1377, and it reads as follows. An ordinance to amend section 59-3 of the Code of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, known as the Salary Ordinance, fixing and determining salaries and compensations of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, and providing for the raising of the amounts thereof by taxation, and for the time and method of payment.
Motion that ordinance number 1377 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for a second and final reading and public hearing March 23rd, 2022 at 5:30 p.m.
Second that motion?
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1377 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on March 23rd, 2022 at 5:30 p.m.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 1378, and it reads as follows. An ordinance of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, amending and supplementing Article 14, exceptions and supplemental regulations of the Land Development Ordinance of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, permitting electric vehicle charging stations and equipment as an accessory use in all zoning districts in the Borough of Wildwood Crest.
Motion that ordinance number 1378 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for a second and final reading and public hearing March 23rd, 2022 at 5:30 p.m.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes. Do we need a second on that?
Second.
Oh, sorry.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1376 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on March 23rd, 2022 at 5:30 p.m.
My turn. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have the resolutions, and the first four, if you'd like to do by consent agenda, all regard sewer rent reimbursements, canceling. First is canceling erroneous 2022 sewer rents in the amount of $124 for property located at 407 East Miami. The second is for the amount of $124 for property located at 106-08 East Buttercup Road. The third is for $124 for property located at 6509 Seaview Avenue. And the fourth is for the amount of $124 for property located at 404-06 East Miami Avenue.
Motion?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolutions be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing refund of property taxes or utilities overpayment made payable to CoreLogic.
Motion that?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing release of escrow funds for permit number SO20-1201 in the amount of $187.50.
Motion?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing award of contract to Atlantic Wave Studio to provide technician to stream the proposed bulkhead ordinance presentation discussion at the not-to-exceed sum of $1,200.
Motion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing execution of an addendum to the existing contract with Cape Professional Billing for emergency medical billing services through 2022.
Motion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the submission of an application to the New Jersey Urban Enterprise Zone Authority for Enterprise Zone Assistance Funds for administration of the Urban Enterprise Zone Program for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022.
Motion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the use of funds designated for the Borough of Wildwood Crest from the fiscal year 2022 Wildwoods Urban Enterprise Zone for the acquisition of litter containers project.
Motion.
I will second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Lastly is authorizing a professional services contract for special counsel for land use redevelopment at the not-to-exceed sum of $15,000.
Motion.
I will second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next we have bills.
Dollar bills?
Wouldn't that be nice? Can we get a motion that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid?
Motion.
I'll second it.
It has been moved and seconded that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes. Okay, nothing listed under correspondence. We'll take our first round of public comments before we go into new business items. Anybody here in the audience have any public comments? Hearing none, I'll ask anyone on the conference line for any public comments. Okay, we will move on to new business. The first item on the agenda under new business is the Back Beach excavation. I believe this is in relation to the low-lying areas west of the dunes, specifically from Rambler down to Jefferson Avenue. A couple years ago, the borough had some sand placed from the front of our beaches to the back of our beaches to keep that grading in a manner where it drains properly and doesn't create ponding when we get the heavy storms during the summertime. I know there was some conversation with the state using their permit for the Army Corps Dune project, because part of that project includes moving some sand into the back beaches when that happens. The question is, and that project is probably a good 2 years away, so do we want to do anything until that time now to prevent those back beaches from flooding? Connie, did you have any updates on that? I know you had some conversations with the state on that.
The Army Corps has not gotten back to us on their part of permitting, but it doesn't appear necessary for an Army Corps permit for this. The DEP has not weighed in on whether they're going to issue their permit as they did last time.
Okay.
I'll follow up.
So the only other way to go about it then would be for the borough to draw up bid specifications similar, I would assume, to what we did a couple years ago, and then go out to bid and have a contractor come in and take care of that for us. I believe there's been some funding allocated for that. The question is now, I guess, to the governing body is, what position do we want to move? Do we want to go into? Do you want to wait, or do you want to move forward on?
Mark has put in a proposal for surveying the entire Back Beach area as well as some other areas. And it's a collective approach to surveying our beaches. That survey would come first, and then Mark would be able to give us an estimate on construction, right?
Yeah, so that activity plus some other activities are in the proposal that we submitted which I think might be authorizable at the second meeting this
Next
month.
month.
This month. And you would get a CAFR permit for that. And once you get that CAFR permit, that activity would be permitted. This is a long-term approach. That activity would be permitted for 5 years with the opportunity to extend it for another 5. So as this happens every couple of years, we want to make sure that you have permission to deal with it.
Okay.
But the surveying hasn't been started yet. You're gonna authorize that at the next meeting.
Okay. So any of the low-lying areas that we get now, when it does happen, I've seen it happen. I know Public Works has done their best to create, I'll call it trenches, to allow it to drain quickly, and then they come back and they excavate it. So that's what's been being done in the short term to handle that. So the question really is governing body, what is it? Do you want to move forward with back beach excavation in a short term? You want to wait for the long term? Allocation of funding is in place. If we wanted to do some dredging, excavating. So it's completely up to the governing body.
I wouldn't mind waiting on Mark's final report to make that, a comment on that, the decision on that, on my end.
Okay.
And also on mine, I truly believe we need to have a little more information so we really know how to move forward. My concern might be the dune system coming through too, how that might impact that area also.
Well, the dune system, there is a back beach fill included with
Right.
the dune system when it does come.
Okay, yeah.
So this would be getting in advance of that, getting that back beach elevation to where you want it to be, at our cost. Eventually, that would help, obviously, the Army Corps and the DEP, in their efforts, because they wouldn't have to put as much sand back there. So it would cost them less at the end of the day. We wouldn't be getting a credit because we have no cost share in that project, but it's, as the mayor said, it's 2 years in the making. So in the meantime, you want to address that flooding, then, it would be born of our budgetary concern.
Yeah, I'm very aware of that also
Yeah.
because I drive through it in the summer being on the handicap
Right.
transport, so I understand that. I'm with Joe though, I think we need to get some information and make a move.
Mark is going to do the surveying to see what quantities would be necessary. Our last project, I have the notes here and all the information from it, was I think about $260,000 or $280,000 was the estimate based on 50,000 cubic yards at $5 a cubic yard. Those numbers obviously have changed significantly due to inflation and other factors, but we would rely on Mark's expertise to give us a construction estimate and then move forward with bidding the project.
Okay, so on that CAFR permit that we're talking about, there's another problem that we also, I think this CAFR permit would allow us to address, which is there is an accumulation of sand that happens along that bulkhead and in that area that blows up into the street and also up on over the fishing pier. So I believe that permit would also, hopefully, if permitted, or if approved by the DEP, will allow us to remove that sand and keep those areas so that it doesn't blow into the street ends and into private property.
Correct.
That next CAFR permit, when you authorize that, will have like 7 items that we're going to be asking for permission to do, and that's one of them.
Okay, so just so everybody's aware, so summertime is around the corner, so if we're going to do any excavation, that's like about a 2-month process. We're gonna run dangerously close to Memorial Day. So, no, not the project itself, but just getting the permits and going out to bid and getting all that administrative part of it done. So I think maybe we have at least until the next meeting, no later than the first meeting in April, I would say, but I guess my point is, if they're gonna excavate the back beaches, that decision has to come soon.
I would say if you can make the decision next meeting this month, you should consider that.
Understood.
Okay, all right. So, Madam Clerk, can we move that under old business
Absolutely.
for a moment? All right, moving on to the next.
Thank you.
Surveillance cameras. So we have, I know that there was some requests made by some various departments for surveillance cameras here at Municipal Hall and in other areas outside of Municipal Hall, in our public parks and so forth. We listed this, I had asked to list this on here. I know that we have some cameras now, and I think we just kind of need to kind of wrestle it down to the ground is who has cameras, where do we need more cameras, who has access to the cameras. I would believe that the police department should have access, and control over all cameras, not just individuals. I don't know who has access to cameras from their cell phones and so forth. Anyway, it's all part of a broader security plan that I think that we just need to hone in on and understand. And I personally think it all should run through the police department. And then, I don't know if you guys have anything you would like to.
Chief, you want
add
to
to that?
address it? We've been discussing that a bit. The chief is putting a plan together with the help of the prosecutor's office.
Yes, sir. Prosecutor's office, I have a meeting with them here at the borough. We're gonna do a walkthrough of the borough. We're gonna put a plan together, and then with the help of Eric Wong in IT, we're gonna put a proposal together after we've done our walkthrough and prepared that plan, so that we can have a good idea of how we can bring the borough more in line with best practices as far as security goes for municipalities.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so
Thank you.
so it sounds like we have a plan in the making, right, Commissioner?
So we are, we're just trying to hone in on it and
All right.
make
So
it
we'll
right.
wait to hear back more information, and we can slide that under old business.
Done.
All right. Office moves. There was some requests, or I guess some concern made with respect to folks free roaming throughout the municipal hall without any security check, for lack of a better term. I know that also, I don't know if that's kind of, it's part of the surveillance camera, but maybe not. But I think that the concern is we had somebody at the front desk that would kind of, during the year, last year, to kind of check people and direct them to where they need to go. Right now, without that person, people are, kind of coming, walking around and looking where they need to go. It could be handled by staffing downstairs. It could be handled by maybe adding a door to the second floor, or somebody buzzing people in. I'm throwing out, I'm not the security expert here, but again, I'll defer to the experts in the back of the room to come up with a plan.
To answer your question, good, Chief, you want to do that one?
Yes, Mayor, that's already been discussed as part of what we want to do as far as security goes. And actually, the moving of certain offices may be in the proposal that is coming to you. Hopefully I can have all that to you shortly, if not before the next meeting, hopefully by April, so we can start moving on this and try to get it done before the summer season.
Okay. You said moving of offices?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's going to be in the plan that's coming.
A suggestion of the
Suggestion.
movement of offices.
Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, we'll move that under old business.
Done.
Okay.
Chief, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Mayor.
Go ahead.
I have a quick question. Is that rolled into the surveillance part of it too? Is that all in one proposal?
It's all gonna be one security plan, so, without getting, too detailed about it, yes, surveillance cameras, the movement of offices, and also, some security around the building as far as entrance and exits and everything, so we're not prohibiting the public from entering, but we're making sure that we know who's coming in and who's going out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next one under is New Jersey lots. Jason Hesley, who is the tax assessor, if you look at, I guess this is on new document number 4, this document here. I don't know if you guys have that. Had asked Jason Hesley to put together a report for us so that everybody can understand the vacant lots that the municipality owns. The long and short of it all is the borough owns in vacant lots a little under $3 million in Jason's estimate. Some of those are just recent acquisitions along New Jersey Avenue. There's a couple on here that have been sitting vacant. And really, I guess what I really wanted to get everyone to get their hands around is, hey, they're sitting there, they're vacant, they're not doing anything. There is one lot in particular, 6406 Seaview Avenue. It's in the residential area. The other two are right by the municipal pool. The one on 6406 Seaview Avenue is in the residential area neighborhood. I don't know if there's any consideration by the municipality if to move that lot, sell it, put the money in Francine's, savings account for the borough, or another use for it. But I just wanted everyone just to at least understand, so when we talk about having empty lots, we have $3 million worth of assets unrelated to the surplus that the municipality owns. The municipality has the ability to sit on the lots, or develop the lots, do something special with the lots, let the lots sit, or perhaps sell one. I would say if there is going to be one that potentially would be out there, would be at least the one on Seaview Avenue, because that's sitting in the middle of a residential zone. So anyway, so I just wanted everyone to kind of understand what's out there and use this document as a reference. Questions, comments?
No, sir.
I'm in favor with what you're saying. I think we should discuss selling it.
Yeah, the market right now is just
Perfect.
It's perfect, but it's just sitting there, and actually it's Public Works is cutting the grass and removing the weeds and so forth. But if there's a better use to get maybe someone to build a nice house on there and get the tax dollars coming in the borough, it may have a better use, and then the money can, like I say, go into the surplus or for another use. So
Thank you.
we'll leave that under old business.
Can do.
Ordinance on fireworks. Commissioner Schiff, you mind talking about that one?
I think I'm going to defer to our solicitor who wrote the proposal up.
Okay, so, as we all know, fireworks used to be illegal everywhere in the state of all kinds. You just couldn't have them. A few years ago, the New Jersey legislature amended the statute to allow what we see now in Walmart and the Acme, which are really novelty. They're called novelty fireworks. They're very small, they're low, they sparkle, they smoke, things of that nature. So because the state prohibited all fireworks, the borough had no ordinance on the books prohibiting fireworks being set off anywhere within the borough, including the public parks. So we had a couple individuals who were setting off these novelty fireworks in public parks where there's other people that may not want to have to endure that. So we're going to regulate now the setting off of these novelty fireworks, which are the ones we see for sale in the stores, only in the public parks of the borough, which is all the public parks, includes the beach area and the bike path. So you won't be able to set them off, but feel free to celebrate the 4th of July and set them off in your own backyard or some other area, just not in our public park. So that's what this ordinance will accomplish, and it is needed. So it's not an over-regulation, it's not an overreach, but really something very sensible and narrowly tailored to address just the concern of folks who just want to take it upon themselves to set off fireworks in the public parks. So we can now politely approach them and say, please don't do that. You feel free to go someplace else. So that's what this ordinance accomplishes.
After discussing this ordinance with the chief of police, it gives the police department a little more oomph that they could stop it. Do you have any comments, sir?
I think it's definitely necessary. I agree with the solicitor. I think this is going to help us with our enforcement actions, and we can also educate the public about this ordinance. Hopefully it'll prohibit some of the fireworks on the beach on the 4th of July, because that tends to be a difficult thing for us to control.
I have two questions. The first question is, what is the definition of a firework? Is a sparkler a firework, or is it something that goes boom?
They're all fireworks. And then what they did was they carved out a narrower definition of things that sparkle and smoke and are of low explosive force. They just crack, they pop, things like that. So they excluded that out from the definition of a firework. And a firework, as you point out, Mayor, is just anything that goes boom, basically,
So
or
the
burns or
little
ignites.
sparklers that they sell at Walmart.
Right,
non-issue.
they're a non-issue, correct,
Okay.
correct. But just so we're clear, they're not going to be permitted in.
Yeah, it did
Everything.
include the
Right,
It
sparklers.
does include
to
it.
be clear, you won't be able to have the sparklers in a public
Yeah,
park.
it does say that in
I think the issue was the smoke off of those.
They generate a tremendous amount of smoke, and if you
Yeah.
have a lot of other people that are sitting there trying to enjoy the park and they're inundated with smoke from these devices, that's what creates the problem.
What other municipalities adopted
I,
that? Do you know?
I don't,
I haven't seen any recently.
I don't think any, really, that I'm aware of, that,
No.
there may be, but I'm not aware of Wildwood or North Wildwood.
Okay, last question then is, there's nothing in it that prohibits the municipality from doing fireworks, i.e. on the beach or along the lakefront or in the water?
No, they're permitted, so we're good, I believe. Am I
But
right?
the ordinance
Where it
has a carve
specifically
out
carves us out,
for
yeah.
municipal approved events.
Okay, all right,
Says shall not apply to borough-approved events.
Right.
okay.
Under
The,
C.
then, is the intent to list that for introduction at the next meeting? Yes?
I believe
On
so.
mine it is.
Okay.
Done.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to jitneys. So there's a draft ordinance that should be in front of you, if not very soon, that speaks to the Wildwoods, North Wildwood, Wildwood, and Wildwood Crest. Moving forward with public transportation, if you recall, there used to be the 5 Mile Beach trolley service that went from roughly Diamond Beach down to Wildwood to Scalinger Avenue. That business is no longer available and it's actually out of business. So the Atlantic City Jitney Association has approached the Tourism Authority, who in turn approached the individual municipalities to say, hey, it's not going to cost the municipalities any money for charging to the customers only. So on a fee-based program, they would like to offer the public transportation service from Wildwood Crest, the southern end of Wildwood Crest into North Wildwood. So that's so there's a draft ordinance. The identification would be identification on the jitneys service as well, just so that they know it's the official Wildwoods jitney program. And if everybody's on board with it, we would, I would assume, we need to move on that fast too, because Memorial Day is going to be here soon. I would probably suggest that we list that for introduction at the next meeting as well.
It has been shared with the other municipalities, and we have not heard any comments back, but they do have it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, I think it was forwarded to the municipalities and also the police departments and legal counsel, just to make sure that everybody is good. So, Chief, did you guys get that? You guys got that, right?
Yes, sir, I spoke to the solicitor about it.
Okay. All right, so if everybody's, commissioners, any concerns, questions, comments?
I guess one question I do have is the fact that, say the other municipalities decide not to do it, now, will we still want to do it, would be the question.
I don't think that because they have to travel into the other municipalities, that it would probably kill the idea.
Understand, thank you.
And we never had a contract with the old trolley company, correct? I think we have.
Just their locations, I think, were set. Their pickup and drop-off
Yeah.
spots.
Right.
That works. Okay. We good for introduction next meeting?
Yes.
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 All right, under old business, electric vehicle ordinance, we just introduced that, so that's off.
Yep.
Proposed floodplain ordinance, just to remind everyone, April 2nd at 11 a.m. is the, I'll call it the Mark de Blasio show.
And that letter was mailed out on the 22nd of February to those homeowners.
All right, Mark, that's your
Yes, sir.
haircuts and all that good stuff on that day.
For long hair.
Me too.
Don't talk about hair with me and Jeff. I think you're picking on us.
Library bid specs, I think, Solicitor Galzunas is working on that. Washington Avenue flooding and flood mitigation, we're waiting for Mr. Rotula on the Washington Avenue. Flood mitigation, bulkhead ordinance, all that, that's actually part of, we could probably take that out, the bulkhead ordinance, because we are doing the meeting, the first meeting. Referendum on consumption license, nothing there. Park Boulevard pumping station, that is something, so part of a presentation on April 2nd, just to kind of elaborate on that. I expect the question to come up is, what's the borough going to do with their flooding and so forth? And I think we all identified, I mean, the pumping station is gonna be needed in that area, as well as in the Washington Avenue area at some point or along the beachfront. So, going back to the lots that are available to the borough, just keep in the back of your mind that the municipalities at some point is gonna have to acquire a lot for pumping stations throughout the borough. And I'll defer the locations to Mark when we get to that point, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody had that in their radar and at least understanding what's gonna be needed in the future. Okay, that's all the old business. We're gonna move on to last round of public comments. We'll start with anybody here in the room. We do have one matter of a closed session. Anybody on the call have any public comments? Commissioners, do you have any comments?
Just still enjoying the work here and learning as I go along.
I do. The Crest recently hosted the Island Tournament a few weeks back at the Crest Pier after a 2-year hiatus. I would like to spotlight our rec department, rec commission for their hard work of putting on this event. I was able to attend a handful of games, see our kids play, cheer, and especially smile was worth the price of admission. Congratulations on putting on a top-notch event. Thank you so much. Also, like to congratulate the Wildwood High School girls' school basketball team and coaches, especially Crest residents Teresa Kniff, Jimmy Clark, and player Emily Little on winning the South Jersey Group 1 championship, their first title since 2017. And lastly, good luck to our Lady Crusaders, namely our Crest residents Kimmy Cassiello, Carly Murphy, and Ava Vodges as they travel to Long Branch tonight to play Rutgers Prep for a South Jersey Group B championship. Our community is very proud of you, so good luck, girls.
Okay.
They were exciting games.
They
I
were
mean,
fun.
I've been there. It's just really the best I've seen in a long time. And Brian Kniff is announcing them and doing a wonderful job.
Okay, last thing I have, my comments are, first of all, I want to thank Public Works, our carpentry crew, and Connie and the rest of the administration for this new meeting room. We did all this work in-house, which is one of the benefits of having talented carpentry crew on staff in the municipality. So this is the new progressive modernized meeting room, so hope everybody gets a chance to come to a meeting and enjoy it. How are those seats, by the way? Are they very comfortable? More comfortable than the, somebody wake Rick up. He looks like he's a little comfortable, he's falling asleep. It's all good. And I also wanted to thank Commissioner Franco and the Creative Arts Council on the adding of the Seashell Ukraine display at Rambler Road. That seems to be a hot area.
Crest.
I'm sorry,
Cressy.
Cressy,
Yes.
but there is also another one at Rambler Road as well, so there's
Yes.
actually two of them.
One was done by the
Yeah, one was done by-
school.
One was done by the school?
Yes.
Yeah, so, there's, all of that, in what's going on in our world today is, just take a moment and take a look and recognize it. I just thought it was very, very nicely done and had that whole beach theme going to it, so congratulations to everybody on that.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, I believe that is the last of our public comments and the commissioner comments. I'd like to take a 3-minute recess. We'll clear the room, and then we'll move right into.
Mr. Mayor, let me just read the resolution first so that we can go out.
Okay.
So we have a resolution authorizing executive closed session in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, specifically NJSA 10:4-12B with regard to the Policies and Procedures Manual. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
All right, I have 10:09 and we'll take a 3-minute break.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Anybody on the conference call? I'm going to hang